What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 8 of the WCW Nitro podcast. I'm your host. I'm Notorious One. I am Dom. I'm here with my man all the way down in Delaware. I'm here with BDC. BDC, what's good, bro? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, man? How you feeling?
I've been better. I've been sick past couple of days. My voice might not be all that, that's why I'm drinking this body armor. Trying to get everything back together, but
Right. Just so everybody know, I did not give him COVID through the podcast last week. He got sick his own way, had nothing to do with me. I was already pretty much recovered, and then it happened to him.
Hey, it is what it is, but you know what? The show must go on. We ain't gonna miss an episode for nothing.
Indeed.
That's what we're going to do. So we're going to take it back to October 23rd, 1995, episode 8 of Nitro. And this time they are at Huntsville, Alabama, the home of Conrad Thompson, the podfather of wrestling.
At the good old Von Braun Civic Center.
Yes. All right, so, we kick it off with Eric Bischoff, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Steve Mongo McMichael on commentary. And our opening match is Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Kurosawa with Colonel Rob Parker. Like I said, my voice is messed up, might go in and out, but the match kicks off with Macho Man pushing Colonel Parker, and then Kurosawa just gave him the business the whole damn match. Kept working on his arm, kept working on the shoulder. Even got to the point where Kurosawa attempted a baseball slide that looked pretty terrible. And then he goes for this damn crescent kick, and he missed, and then he hit the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
Get back in the ring. Savage hits the elbow.
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Savage is your winner.
Yeah, it was. Now I will say, from the point where Kurosawa started dominating Macho, I've never seen Macho get dominated by someone his own size like that. Kurosawa really, like you said, gave him the business. I know they talked about how his arm was wrapped up, how his arm was seriously injured, and stuff like that. But literally the first half of the match, Kurosawa was working his legs, his back. He worked everything but his arm. And then finally, once he started working his arm, then he really, really got into the business of beating Macho down. So it was very surprising to me that Macho had 3 moves in the match and won it. Literally 3 moves. Once he kicked the pole and got rolled in the ring, it was 2 moves and then the elbow, and it was over. I'm like,
that's exactly what happened.
How?
I noticed since 1992. Savage took more of a beating than anything. He sold more and then he did offense. And then he come back with a dramatic win.
Yeah. Yep.
That was his whole 92 to 97 run right there.
I was about to say that was essentially his entire WCW run.
Yeah.
that was his WCW run, and I think the face half of his Macho King run. When he was actually somewhat good, because most of the time he was a bad guy, but when he was somewhat good towards the end, when he
after Warrior beat him, he came back and Jake the Snake,
and Sherry turned on him and stuff like that. That was kind of that started to become his thing, and then it just really took a life of its own in WCW. So, but decent match. Was it spectacular? No. Was it a 5-star classic? Absolutely not. But it was decent. It was decent. It showed what Kurosawa was capable of as far as a striker. Did not do him any favors as far as actually wrestling, but as a striker, it did show him pretty well. And it, like you said, it showed the resilient side of Macho that it seemed like he was really trying to portray in his WCW run.
Basically.
Yeah.
All right, so after this, we see the guys on commentary, and then we see the lights go out, and some mysterious guy, he just yelling, making no damn sense whatsoever, and he's sounding like Ultimate Warrior cutting a promo. Like, what the hell is going on here?
So that guy, he wasn't often seen, but that was the master of the Dungeon of Doom. He, in that role, is Kevin Sullivan's father. And he gives Kevin Sullivan the orders, and Kevin Sullivan relays them into the Dungeon of Doom. He runs the Dungeon of Doom, and the master runs Kevin Sullivan. So that was ear-grating, yes. But he came in and he discussed the fact that they had an insurance policy for the Dungeon of Doom to assure that they beat Hogan and took the title off of him at Halloween Havoc. And then they showcased what had to be the saddest excuse for a block of ice I've ever seen in the history of mankind. Like, I've seen Legos look more realistic. This was absolutely ridiculous. Like, it literally looked like if you could imagine the sauna rooms they have now, the portable ones that you can just like put in any room, you just sit in it with a chair. That's essentially what this thing looks like, and it looks bad. And then on top of that, for all of these people whose minds in the gutter like mine is sometimes, why did that front door look like? Well, literally looked like something sicky straight up. So it was a whole mess. And I'm just, the moment I saw it, it was like a block of ice, and I looked at it, I'm like, oh my god, no, just no, hell no. But don't worry, in case you missed it that first time, they made sure to show it plenty more times throughout the show.
Yep.
So if you really thought that it was a block of ice the first time, by the end of the night, you definitely knew it wasn't. Knew it wasn't.
Well, it's time for Mean Gene Okerlund. This time he's standing in front of this block of ice, and he's interviewing the Giant and the Taskmaster. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Sullivan basically said his father, he went for the Surfer guys to bring back this iceberg, and that evil dwells in Hulk Hogan's heart, and that Sullivan doesn't see any good about Hulk Hogan. Well, he's right. Talking about present day, he's right.
I mean, he hey, look, we can call Kevin Sullivan Kevin Simpson, because he nailed that shit dead ass.
Oh yeah, he's spot on.
Spot on with that. But yeah, they once again showed that damn block of ice.
Yep.
And he named that insurance policy the Yeti. Not the Yeti, the Yeti. And then the Giant comes out and says that he's the true Immortal, and he's going to prove it at Halloween Havoc.
Yes, the Giant said that he's the biggest cat in the jungle, right, and Hulk Hogan is running out of lives. Right. And boom, that's where
Hogan's not immortal. I'm the real Immortal. Yeah. Okay. So, but that was that. And so then
they're hyping up this. They're hyping up this match. Machine versus machine, and man versus man.
Yep.
And they're gonna start on the monster truck, and then after that, they're gonna get in the ring and fight each other. And our next week's show, episode 9, we're gonna talk about this match. We might even watch the match together, the monster truck match itself.
Yeah.
Just to relive this goodness.
Because that was 1995, and in 1995, this one right here was not paying for pay-per-views. So I did not see it in 1995, and I haven't really thought about it since then. Since the age of WWE Network and stuff like that, and now Peacock, hadn't really thought about it. So this will be the first time I actually see the match, because they surely did not put it on episode 9 of Nitro. Spoiler. So we will. So this will be the first time that I actually see it. And I guess it was interesting. We'll find out next week. But we will jump ahead so I can try to save Dom's voice a little bit. What happens next is the promo. Mean Gene is once again with Don Corleone, Hulk Hogan, and Jimmy Hart in the entranceway.
Still sporting the black.
Still sporting the black, and Hogan's going into his shtick about what he's gonna do. He's gonna destroy the Giant and all this stuff like that. He then proceeds to rip off the neck brace, and he's really going in. And then out of left field, he starts dogging out Sting, Macho, and Lex Luger. You know, he basically said that they were vultures standing over his carcass, ready to pick the bones, and you know he needed them to go stand on the porch and figure out who was the biggest dog in the yard, so that they can come face him, so he can beat him down. And I'm just looking at him like, where is all this coming from? And then I realized, oh yeah, that's the evil talking. The evil.
So that's just like the same thing watching a Friday Night SmackDown, The Rock and Cody Rhodes having a go moment. Shut up before I slap the syphilis off your face. Like, what?
Yo, that was the most random quote, the most random insult I have ever heard in all of my life. Like, he literally told somebody he was going to smack the syphilis off their face. I was like, wait, is that even a thing? What? How do you do that? I need to understand. How do you do that?
I want your soul.
I want your soul. What is happening right now? Jesus Christ.
Oh, Lord.
Yo, he was on a whole other level.
Exactly.
I can't even explain. He came out, he talked nice for 5 minutes, then started getting people shit left and right, and I was here for all of it. Yeah, that shit was funny.
It's just like Hogan in this promo right here.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Hogan was in people's shit for no reason. It was like.
All right, well, our next match, we have a tag team match. We have Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit taking on Eddie Guerrero and Mr. JL with Alex Wright in their corner. And he has crutches. I guess he had a bad will. But if you're in a bad will and, you know, you got crutches, why are you out there in your damn drawers? What you out there doing?
So, apparently, according to commentary, he suffered cartilage damage. He was actually supposed to be in the match with Eddie Guerrero, but because he got hurt, Mr. JL took his place. And for people asking why he was out there, don't quite know myself. It was a great match, so we'll already, before we even ask the question that we ask at the end of the show, because it has been the same every week for the last 3. What was the moment of the night? This was it. So, in Cruiserweight fashion, great match. The cutaway to the Shark and Flash Norton fighting in the back, unnecessary. Bobby the Brain Heenan clowning Alex Wright, saying that he injured his leg practicing Disco Inferno's moves, was hilarious. But yeah, outside of that, it was a really good match. Again, another chance for the Cruiserweights to show what they can do out there, and every time you can get Cruiserweights out there to do it, it's a good thing. Ultimately, you know, Malenko gets rolled up by JL for the win. Yeah, he gets rolled up. He gets rolled up after Alex Wright, who we had no idea why he was out there, decided to slip his crutch into Dean Malenko's foot and trip him, causing JL to be able to roll him up for the win.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed this match. Mm-hmm. It started off slow.
Yep.
And then it started picking up. It definitely picked up. Yep. And they had enough time. They gave these guys time to shine. And then even during the commentary, I think Bischoff said they're getting ready for a Cruiserweight tournament. Yep. So that's why they're giving these guys time. So, okay, these guys are definitely wooing the fans out here. So
understand,
let's see what they can do.
Right. Understand, for people watching, what you are experiencing right now is the birth of the Cruiserweights. Literally the birth of the Cruiserweights, because WWF did not have cruiserweights at this time.
No.
They were not showcasing cruiserweights. Any guy that was more or less cruiserweight size was being used in squash matches for larger opponents over in WWF. So WCW was the first real showing of real cruiserweight lucha libre style wrestling and what can be done out there. So you're witnessing the birth and the golden era of cruiserweight wrestling at this point in time.
Yes, that's for sure. And also during the match, they showed a backstage fight in the locker room with Shark and Scott Norton. This is stemming from the very first episode of Nitro on September 11th, 1995. And so these guys are finally getting into it right now?
Yeah, so for people who have seen the episode and maybe just not remember, in episode 2 was the second episode, Macho Man and Scott Norton fought. And in that match, Shark comes down to the ring. He tries to interfere. He jumps up on the apron. Macho sees him, runs. He throws Scott Norton into him, throwing him into the rope. Scott Norton hits the Shark. The Shark basically gets knocked cold, which I don't even know how that happened, but it did. He gets knocked cold. He falls in through the ropes and lands on Scott Norton's legs. Macho Man then goes up to the top rope, hits him with the elbow, and because Scott Norton can't move his legs, he gets pinned. So this stems from all the way back then. Now, 6 weeks ago, this is the result of it. They're fighting in the back. And, I mean, I know outside of this particular part of the It Doesn't Matter podcast, there's a lot of talk about long-term storytelling within the podcast. While 6 weeks is not a particularly long time, just the mere fact that they brought this back up because everybody had clearly forgotten about it. It's truly, this would be their idea of long-term storytelling. Because no one remembered this. No one. Like, Scott Norton had barely been on the show since then. Like, he may have had a match or two since then. The Shark has been on it because he's Dungeon of Doom. So he's had some real run. But Scott Norton had not been on the show. And then all of a sudden, they're fighting in the back? Like, dude, 6 weeks? Really? Okay. Oh, my God. Yeah. That was... Yeah. Like I said, it was pointless. It was pointless in the middle of a pretty damn good match.
Seriously.
Like, they could have done that during any other match on the card, and I would have been fine with it. But not this match.
But have you noticed in previous weeks, every single time there's an altercation or a limo pulling up, is always during the cruiserweight
matches.
Yep. Yeah.
Like, they're giving them the shine, but not giving them the shine all at the same time.
We're lucky we have picture-in-picture at this time. We can actually see what's going on if we really want to look. But come on, man.
Yeah. Yep.
They still weren't confident on the cruiserweights. They're giving them time.
Even though the cruiserweights were putting on a hell of a show.
Yes, that's for sure.
Each and every week. Yeah.
All right, but after the match ended, Brian Pillman comes out of nowhere and he takes out Eddie Guerrero. What's up with that?
That swinging DDT on the concrete, something special. Don't know why. Don't have no clue. When I tell you, if the Shark and Flash Norton thing during the match made 0 sense, Flying Brian Pillman coming out and DDTing Eddie Guerrero into the concrete at the end of the match made absolutely no sense. Like, absolutely none. They're not running a program together. They're not nothing. They haven't faced each other on the show yet. There has been nothing between the two of them at all. He just comes out and and then he walks off.
That was it.
Doing this. And mind you, for the record, there's no Four Horsemen at this time.
Nope.
There's none. There's no Four Horsemen. It's just Arn and him. They haven't even talked about the Four Horsemen yet. And
I have no idea, brother. Got to tune in next week to see what happens with Eddie Guerrero and Flying Brian. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it was, yeah. I don't know.
All right, well, after this, it's our main event. Harlem Heat taking on Sting and Lex Luger. And the Harlem Heat and Sister Sherry come out, throwing up the Wakanda sign.
Mm-hmm.
Sting sporting the red and yellow.
Yep.
He's grown in the goatee.
Which Hogan called out in his spiel earlier in the show. And by this point, the Harlem Heat has been renamed Booker T and Stevie Ray. Because if you remember, the very first time they fought, they were Kane and Cole. So they've been renamed Booker T and Stevie Ray at this point.
And my God, they look good. All four men in the ring, they look good. And Booker, whew. You seen that? Did you see him sell that back body drop, man? He was up there.
Yeah.
He was up there.
Yeah.
Booker, he was something else, man.
He has always been really good at selling. He's been really good at selling. Like, Stevie Ray's a little stiff, but, he's the big Hulk and power guy, so you don't expect him to be necessarily agile with his selling. So you would expect that he would get hit and just do like the old JYD was just like...
Yeah.
But, yeah, Booker, oh my God, he could sell.
He could sell. And I love the Spinneroonie when it didn't have a name.
Right, and he just...
I loved it, because it just...
Yeah.
Because he would do it, and then he hit you with that side kick.
Right, and that's the thing. It was a preamble to that side kick. It was kind of like telegraphing the side kick. When you saw him do that, you knew it was coming. And most times when he was doing that, he had already put you down. And it's kind of like the Shawn Michaels kip up, because usually he's hit you with something where it puts you both down, and then he kips up. That was Booker T. Booker T put you down with something. Usually it was his crescent kick, and then he come up and then just hit you with the side kick afterwards, and that was beautiful.
That joint just fluent, man.
Yeah,
fluent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. But
yep.
Can I tell you what, man? What? Watching this, it got me excited. Like, man, like I can't wait to do on the It Doesn't Matter podcast episode of Sting, like a deep dive of Sting. Talk about all his, great moments. Flair is definitely up there, but could talk about his short-lived WWE run. You could, which I really don't want to discuss because that was not that good. But his TNA,
well, and
all
you know
that
what?
Stuff, man.
Yeah, because we talk about at length. We talk about how the Undertaker was one of those guys that had a gimmick. And over the years, he reinvented himself over and over again to keep his image relevant.
Yep.
Going from the Dead Man to the Ministry of Darkness to American Badass to Big Evil, then back to the Dead Man, and then to the Last Outlaw, and now kind of back to the American Badass now. And if you look at Sting, you had Surfer Sting. Then you had
the Crow.
You had the no one knows Sting, because between the two, when you really didn't know where Sting stood, you had the no one knows Sting where he was kind of wearing the half paint and you really didn't know where he stood. Then you had the Crow Sting. Then you get to TNA and you had kind of a hybrid of that. Then you had the Joker Sting, which the Joker Sting is still one of my favorites. And then he kind of goes back to the Crow Sting, but not necessarily the Crow Sting, because he's now incorporated the Surfer Sting into Crow Sting. And that's the Sting that kind of made it through the end of TNA, his WWE run, and then his AEW run. But that man reinvented himself so many times over to keep himself relevant, and that, like Taker, lasted him 30 years. And that is outstanding. That's outstanding.
And he was never a heel either, right?
He was a heel.
I don't consider that TNA Joker.
He was no. So he was a heel for a time. When he was Wolfpack Sting, he was a heel for a short time, and then kind of the Wolfpack went face, and NWO Hollywood when they broke off. The Wolfpack was faced. The NWO Black and White was the heel faction. And then after the NWO disbanded, when they had that new, I can't remember the name.
New Blood.
The New Blood. When they had the New Blood, Sting was a heel in there.
Oh, yeah.
Was in there for a while. He was a heel. When they really didn't know what they were doing, that was when they had a whole bunch of jumbled shit with Goldberg. And then they had Sting as a heel for that time, and they really didn't know what they were doing. There's of course the first main event Mafia run in TNA when he was a heel. They were heels for a bit.
I remember that, but
they were heels for a bit, and then he kind of started to face, and that's eventually how he got pushed out, because he started to kind of turn to a face, so he got pushed out. But yeah, initially they were kind of like, he was kind of heelish then, but outside of that, he spent long chunks of time as a face through WCW, his entire WWE run. His entire AEW run, he was a face.
That
majority of his TNA run, he was a face too.
Yeah, that Wolfpack, everybody knows him as a baby face, because nobody remember it was short lived that the Wolfpack was heel.
Yeah,
I remember. I do remember.
Yeah, the Wolfpack was initially heel when he was rocking the red face paint and the mustache and goatee. Initially it was heel, and then they spun off of NWO Black and White and became a face group for a while.
Yeah,
and then when
you mentioned later on that whole New Blood, nobody watching WCW then, man. Nobody remember that shit.
Yeah, he was a heel for a time in there, but
and the main event Mafia, I remember. Yeah, I briefly remember, because I remember like Angle was getting pissed off at everything Sting was doing.
Yep.
Sting was more laid back and whatnot, and then. Yeah, basically just kind of like pushed him out.
That was when he was on his was that when he was on his Perk Angle run? Forgive me if Kurt Angle sees this, because I know he said that he didn't like to be called Perk Angle, but he deals with it. But unfortunately that Perk Angle run was something special. He was a whole different breed during that run.
Monster. I love that man at that time. He was so nasty.
He was an absolute monster at that time. Woo. Yeah, he was a beast. He was a beast. Oh, he's a beast.
And since we're talking about Sting and Booker T, it keeps popping on my timeline, and I haven't seen it. It was on Thunder. It was a tag match. It was Sting and Booker T. It was Sting and Stang. You seen that?
Yeah. Yeah. When Booker T and I've seen the clip where it's like when Sting became Stang, and like literally Sting was in the ring, he gets thrown out of the ring, and then Booker T comes up from behind, and he's wearing Sting's face paint.
The whole get up
and did that side kick. And I was like, okay.
Oh
yeah.
man,
yeah,
pretty interesting. Time.
Yeah. But only Booker T could really get. Booker T was really the only guy that could get away with that.
Oh,
there wasn't too many. Yeah, it's like you had guys that wore his face paint later, like the AEW run. There was plenty of times where
everybody
he was sharing his. He was like, I think there was a match where him and CM Punk and Darby Allin were all wearing configurations of his face paint and Darby Allin's face paint together.
My man, Rated R superstar Cope.
Yep.
He had everybody had a face paint at some point. Heck yeah.
Everybody had a Sting dedication, which that in of itself is awesome to me.
Yeah, Sting's the man.
When they all come out with some version of Sting's face paint on, I thought that was great. And not to be outdone, his last match when his sons came out in variants of his attire. Yeah, that younger son though, needs to get in the business, because that dude was jumping out the stadium.
He is. He's training with Darby right now.
Yeah, that dude was jumping out the stadium on those stinger splashes. Like the older brother, like he did it, but he was kind of like
too heavy.
He was what he said, he did a podcast about it, and what he said was that he was afraid that he was going to jump out of the stadium, so he was muting himself, like he was purposely jumping heavy so that he wouldn't jump out of the ring. And his brother had no such problems. His brother was like, okay, 3/4 of the ring, leap.
And his brother looked good doing it. That's what we wanted.
Absolutely.
But just think about it. If the younger brother had the size of the other brother, that's how Sting looked. Look at the Stinger splash what Sting did to Booker T on this match tonight on Nitro. Sting, a big beefy dude, had the red and yellow trunks on.
Sting
just launching himself right over there, man. Oh my goodness.
Sting had underrated hops. Which that's what I'm gonna tell you. Sting had underrated hops. Like that dude, more times than not than I can remember, I would literally, especially in his Crow Sting run, I was very afraid that dude was gonna hit his head on the pole past the turnbuckle because of how high that dude would get. And especially with the way he landed at times. He'd land on him and then he would just float up and I'm like, oh God, he's gonna kill himself. But yeah. For people who like Surfer Sting, yeah, he always showed them hops off. Crow Sting though, by the time he got to TNA, those hops kind of died down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, those Surfer and Crow Sting, oh my God, those hops.
Sting
those hops, something crazy.
We missed Sting. But all right, well, back to this match. During the match, we see Sherry pulling out some Polaroids from her ass. Some pictures. I don't know what's up with that. Of her and Colonel Parker.
So they're still running the storyline again. Long-term storytelling. Still running that storyline from week 3 when the Harlem Heat lost their tag titles to the American Males because Colonel Rob Parker came out and swept Sherry off her feet when she was supposed to be helping Booker T. Booker T. You're right.
She fell off the apron.
She fell off. When she fell off the apron and he ended up getting countered. So we will go to the finish where
Sting
there was a flying crossbody off the top rope
on Booker T.
And once again, like week 3, Stevie Ray was too busy beating on somebody in the corner to realize that his partner was getting pinned. Like, dude, where is the ring IQ? What is happening right now? Like, this is 2 matches, one for the heavyweight champion, for the tag team championship. You're too busy beating the shit out of Scotty Rings outside the ring to realize your partner's getting pinned. So then, this time, he's actually in the ring, and he still doesn't realize his partner's getting pinned because he's too busy beating on Lex Luger. I was just like, yo, the ring IQ is not even there. What is happening right now? I have no idea.
Yep, and that was your main event. But after the match, the Giant comes out and he chokeslam Luger. And then Savage comes out, and then Hogan comes out with no neck brace, and then he's doing the big punch, and there's no effect on the Giant whatsoever.
Yep.
And then, Hogan a couple more times. Then the Dungeon of Doom comes out, and then Savage and Hogan, they clear the ring. And then all of a sudden, the head of security, Doug Dillinger, he comes in with a billy club. Like, what the hell? Who you want to beat up?
Right. Like, this is not Keystone Cops, bruh. What the hell's happening right now?
Oh, man.
But I will say...
Yep, then...
Yeah.
The iceberg breaks.
Here comes the mummy. I mean, the Yeti.
The Yeti or mummy, whatever it is, and the show just ends. Boom. That's it. That's how you close Nitro.
Yeah. So, first off, Hogan was about to get his ass whooped again, and then he started hulking up. And once he started hulking up, he actually started taking it to the Giant. Which was... It was to be expected. It was a Nitro before... Halloween Havoc. You didn't really expect the Hogan to get in there and get his ass whooped again, did you? But I did think it was weird that they cleared out the ring so that Hogan and the Giant can fight again, and then Dillinger comes out with a belly club and is able to do what no one else could do. Billy Club.
Billy Club.
Billy Club.
He's just standing there like
and I think Bischoff even mentioned it. He's like, what is he going to do with that? Like, your guess is better than mine, bro, because I have no idea what he's going to do with that. Like, he tried to throw that on somebody, he's gonna get it knocked right upside his head. There's no way. So,
and that's how your show ends.
That's how the show ends. That's how the show ends. So the go home show, as they call it. Usually you have the main players come out and do whatever, and I guess this was their idea of it. Which, I mean, give them credit because it's better than what they did with Fall Brawl, which they did absolutely nothing. And since they oversaturate your TV with Dungeon of Doom anyway, why not? But, yeah, that was the show, folks.
All right.
That was the show. Was there any dark matches to speak of?
Don't you have that? Usually keep that on your notes.
Yeah, I didn't do it this time, but guess what? One quick note to cagematch.com will tell me what I need to know, because Cage Match is beautiful. So, they had 2 dark matches. The first was a tag team match between the Blue Bloods of Earl Robert Eaton and Lord Steven Regal. They defeated the stud stable of Bunkhouse Buck and Dick Slater.
Okay.
That was the first one. And the second one was yet another WCW World Television match. I have never heard of a television title so not defended on TV. Like, it's literally been defended on TV, I think, twice. Now, they might be defended on WCW Saturday Night. I don't know. But it doesn't get defended on Nitro all that much. But in this match, Diamond Dallas Page beats Cobra. Now, for people who are wondering, well, who's Cobra? It's not G.I. Joe's it's not G.I. Joe's opponent or G.I. Joe's enemy. Although technically he did come down in army gear, so he kind of, I guess you could say he was something. But Cobra is now the third version of Jeff Farmer. Because he's already been Lightning. We know he's eventually going to be fake Sting. But now he's Cobra. Because clearly this guy needs a job.
Hey, longevity, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Now, we talked about how Sting reinvented his character. This dude right here. Except he reinvented his character like 18 times in 3 years. But that's not good. Like, whole persona changes. Like, Sting at least was the same guy. You can look at WWE and you be like, oh, well, you had Isaac Yankem became Kane. But Kane wore a mask for so long, no one actually realized he was Isaac Yankem. You had Kama, who became Papa Shango and became the Godfather. But there was such a long gap of time between Kama and the Godfather, and he played Papa Shango so well and scared the shit out of people so badly that you didn't remember he looked like Kama when he became the Godfather. Not Cobra, who was Lightning and Cobra in the same year. Hell, he was Lightning at a pay-per-view and then Cobra on a Raw, on a Raw. On a Nitro. This is a problem. This is a problem. But yeah, that was the show for the most part. We've already told you what the moment of the night was. Wait.
That was your moment of the night.
I told you mine. So let me ask. So Dom, what was your moment of the night?
My moment of the night, I do love the Cruiserweights. I love that tag team action, but I like the main event. I did like the main event.
Ooh.
Yes.
He has pulled away from the Cruiserweights. And you know what? I hear you, because that was a really
it was a good match.
It was
to go back to back with tag matches, and for both of them to be hard hitting, it was pretty.
And
good.
I think that is a testament, because you had the bar raised you had the bar raised with the cruiserweights, and they matched it step for step. They did match it step for step, and that match, literally, that match was a match that could have made or broken the Harlem Heat, because you're talking two of the bigger names in WCW at the time with Sting and Lex Luger, and it's very easy to become overwhelmed in that situation and kind of just fade to the veterans in that match. And Harlem Heat didn't. Harlem Heat went in there and they really held their own, and it really showcased the team in a good light, but it did showcase Booker T in a better light.
Yes.
Because it really gave you, where their first match on Nitro didn't really give you the separation between Booker T and Stevie Ray. This match really did. It showed you that Booker T was that guy that could really go. Yeah, Stevie's the power, but Booker is just like the all-around guy. He's the it guy. He's the guy that can take the crowd with him whichever way he wants to go. He's that guy. He's that guy that Stevie Ray, regardless of how anything he is, he'll never be that guy. No matter what, he doesn't have that it factor that Booker T has. Reminds me a lot of a current team that's going on right now. A current team that's having a renaissance of sorts, and that's the Street Profits. Montez Ford is that guy. Angelo Dawkins, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a singles competitor. He's good. But Montez Ford is that guy. He is that guy. So, yeah,
yes.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. So, from watching this show, like I asked on the It Doesn't Matter podcast, does this episode, does it matter?
This episode actually mattered. There was more good than bad. We realized that it is a go-home show, so they have to hype up the pay-per-view as much as they possibly can. However, when they weren't hyping up the pay-per-view, they actually had a pretty damn good show.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pretty damn good show when they weren't hyping up the pay-per-view.
Well, now it's time for What's on the Other Channel.
Yes.
All right, on the other channel, on Monday Night Raw, they had a #1 contendership battle royal for the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
Owen Hart, he won the battle royal. He defeated Aldo Montoya, Bam Bam Bigelow, Barry Horowitz, Bob Holly, Duke the Dumpster Droese, Fatu, Hakushi, Henry O'Godwin, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Isaac Yankum, Jean-Pierre Lafitte, King Kong Bundy, Marty Jannetty, Rad Radford, Savio Vega, Sid Vicious, Skip, and the 1-2-3 Kid. In 20-minute battle royal.
Damn. Well, I mean, there's some names that I just have no idea why they're in there. Barry Horowitz immediately comes to mind.
Wow.
Rad Radford, I don't even know who that is.
That's Bruce Pritchard.
My point exactly. So,
Jean-Pierre Lafitte?
Oh yeah, that's
PCO.
Yeah, PCO now. Yep.
Yep. Skip. 1-2-3.
Yep.
Hakushi.
I know everybody else. I just didn't know. I know Barry Horowitz, which is why I said I don't even know why he's there. But I didn't know who Rad Radford was, and now that you said that, I still don't want to know who he was. Radford.
Well, our next match, we have Avatar defeating Brian Walsh.
Who and
Crickets?
Who and who?
Hold on. Hold on for you. Hold on. Let me say it one more time for you.
Avatar and Brian Walsh?
Avatar and Brian Walsh.
Now, you would be surprised to know that I actually somewhat remember that episode, but I don't remember them too.
You know who Avatar is?
Not at the moment.
Hold on, let me double check. I think who it is. Is it Al Snow? Yep, it's Al Snow. That's correct.
So when he wasn't Leaf Cassidy, and he wasn't Al Snow, he was Avatar.
And Brian
and who
Walsh.
Brian Walsh?
He was trained by Killer Kowalski. And they don't say nothing about him.
Oh, so he was a jobber. Okay.
Yeah, he's a jobber. And in your main events is for your WWF Women's Championship, Alundra Blaze defeated Bertha Faye with Harvey Whippleman.
Wow. So wait a minute. Okay.
Nitro Raw. Which one you watching?
I just looked them up because why the hell not?
Who?
Oh, Nitro by far. But that's it. Yeah, Nitro by far. So here's an interesting little tidbit because I just looked it up. Avatar, who was Al Snow, and here's the particulars about Avatar. Avatar was a gimmick based on Mortal Kombat and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh Jesus! Should have just made no.
That was.
You can have Avatar as a putty, and you already got Kevin Sullivan's dad, Zordon. Come on now.
Yeah, and were we at the point where we were getting Glacier? We weren't at Glacier and Mortis yet, but you know they were coming, so you would have had Sub-Zero and Reptile. It would have been great, but that was his debut match.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's all good because next week we're going to talk about Halloween Havoc. I'm going to run through the card right quick, and we're just going to do a brief summary before we get into episode 9 of Nitro. We're going to have Johnny B. Bad going against Diamond Dallas Page for the TV title. Macho Man's going against the Zodiac. Kurosawa is going against Road Warrior Hawk, which I don't know why. Sabu, we're going to see Sabu again, taking on JL. Lex Luger going to face Ming. Sting and Ric Flair, they're going to team up, and they're going to go against Brian Pillman and Arn Anderson. Hogan and Giant in the sumo truck match. And we're going to see Luger and Savage. They're going to tangle up, finally. And then we're going to see the Giant take on Hogan for the title again. So, yeah. But after that, we're going to get right into the Nitro episode. And that's going to be featuring Eddie Guerrero taking on Sergeant Craig Pittman. Yep, and then we got Scott Norton versus the Shark. Sabu versus Disco Inferno. And Lex Luger and Ming taking on the American male Scotty Riggs and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Yep. Well, definitely tune in with us next week. It's going to be an interesting show. We're going to talk about Halloween Havoc, and we're going to talk about the Halloween edition of WCW Monday Nitro. Until then, I'm your host. I'm Notorious Dom. I am Dom. I'm here with BDC, who's chilling with the Taskmaster's family right now, his father and whatnot. But the Yatai. And we will see you next week. Boom.